am going to present on discovery responses. Okay, let's get into it. Please, sir, may I have some more discovery? Let's get into it. You may be asking yourself, what is a discovery response? I'm going to answer that question. So, a discovery response is the information you provide in answering questions that were requested from the other side, using various documents, which we'll go through later. Remember that you can object to anything that is asked, just provide the reasons for the objection. Note, the other side could be you being the defendant or you being the plaintiff. It's just whoever requests that specific information. So anyone can request the discovery response. And the other side is requesting information to prepare for trial. That's what the purpose of the discovery response is. And it typically is to find out what you plan to say about an issue in the case, find facts or witnesses that support their side, or to get information that is only available to you and that can be used for evidence. So, what are the types of forms that you would use a discovery response to answer? I'm glad you asked. So if you receive any of these documents, you basically have to write a discovery response, or, as we discussed before, you can object, but you have to have probable cause for objection. Form of interrogatories. We've gone through a few of them. There is general form of interrogatories, there is special interrogatories, and specially prepared interrogatories. Another one is request for admission, and then request for production or demand for inspection. All very important. You typically have 30 days to respond to a request, but if it's a mailed request, it's 35 days from the day that it was mailed. 30 days. Challenge accepted. So now we are going to go into an example of a response to form interrogatories. So this is using the case of Sampson's versus Emerald's Catering, and this is done by Don Argue, which is the defendant's attorney. So going through this, you organize it the same as a pleading paper, and you would put the plaintiff right here, and then you would put the defendants over here. This is actually when we're going to get some clarification on what Emerald's Catering actually is, instead of just guessing. I'm not going to spoil that for you. It's exciting. So you want to put the case number up here, and you want to make sure that you are putting the title, the defendant, Emerald Catering, responses to plaintiff's request for form interrogatories. This is the party that's asking for the response, and the responding party is the defendant, which is Emerald Catering. You want to note that everything you say in form interrogatories response has to be true. You are under oath, and you have to respond truthfully. So let's go through it. The first part is the identity of persons answering these interrogatories. So you have to state the name, address, telephone number, relationship to you of each person who prepared or assisted in preparation of responses to these interrogatories. So these are the information. Danny is the owner of Emerald's Catering. And so we go through, that's interrogatory number 1. Then we go through and we go to interrogatory number 2. This one is more of a formal introduction where you are really getting to know all the general basic information about the individual. So you state your name, every name you've used in the past, dates you've used for that name, which doesn't apply because he's gone by Danny Emerald. You state your present address and any address that you've lived for in the past 5 years. You also state your name, address, and where you're employed, and what your nature of work is and what your job title is. They also want to know about your address of every school that you've attended. That could be from high school on, so high school and universities. And then it also asks what degrees you've received. And then really important ones is, can you speak English with ease? Can you read and write in English? That is basically what this is answering. I won't go into everything on this form, but this is number 3, and we finally find out that Emerald's Catering is a corporation, which is super cool. They are registered in California under the Articles of Incorporation, and they are qualified to do business in California. Surprise! This is the response for number 8 that was requested, and this one talks about loss of income or earning capacity. And so basically this one focuses the attention on the amount of monetary losses that Emerald's Catering has endured since the beginning of this incident, since this incident happened. And so basically it's just an outline of everything that has happened and the potential revenue that they've lost because of this situation, that there were different clients that they were working with before the incident, but because of this situation getting out, it was a complication for their business, and they have had very slow business. The response interrogatory number 11 talks about other claims and previous claims, which this one doesn't really apply to Emerald's Catering because they haven't filed an action or a written claim or demanded compensation for any personal injuries or workers' compensation benefits. And then response form interrogatory number 50. This one's important because it talks about the contract, and it talks about the contract that was obviously previously signed with the Sampsons and with Emerald's Catering. So this is just a breakdown of everything and how breach of contract was reached and what is going on, who has what types of copies of the contracts, and when it was signed, when the contract was breached, and what is basically left of this whole situation where it needs to be figured out. Wow, we made it to the last page. So this is basically the date and signature of Don Argue, because he's the attorney for the defendant for Emerald's Catering. And then Emerald's Catering has to verify that everything that they're saying in this response form for interrogatories is all true, and has to sign to say that it's true. That is the summary of response to form interrogatories. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys end up doing a response yourself. It's kind of fun. I'm not sure if you're clapping for my presentation or maybe because it's finished. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.